Good morning. I will now call to order the June 20th Zionsville Town Council meeting. If you would please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Up first on the agenda is the approval of the memorandum of the June 5th, 2023 regular meeting. A copy has been posted. Are there any questions from councilors?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
First by Councilor Garrett, second by Councilor Melton. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is the approval of claims. Are there any questions from councilors on claims? I did have a couple, Cindy, if you're okay to come up. Let me find them here. All right, so we've got on page 9 of claims. I mean, it doesn't necessarily jump to all those, but there are a bunch of fees, bank fees.
Right.
I'm assuming those fall under the claims that can be paid without approval. Is that
That is
correct?
correct. Those are automatically taken out of the account at the end of every month.
Okay, and then the Ice Miller 3430. I'm assuming that's also for Ice America, another month of Ice America work.
Yes.
Okay, and then I think the last question I have on claims, there is a $4,853 return check. Do we know what that was?
I don't have it in front of me. I'd have to get that information. Actually, I believe it was for a permit, and then planning has been notified and they're working with the person to get another form of payment in.
Okay, so that was a check that was paid to us.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. That's all I had. Anybody else have any questions for Cindy?
I had a question regarding, you said Ice Miller is the claim for Ice America. Is that right?
Yeah, they've been, that's the last 4 or 5 months worth of
Yes.
$3,000 a month of work on Ice America bills.
So I see a Barnes and Thornburg on here that says $806 services for Ice America. So are they working in conjunction together against this?
They do collaborate.
We have 3 law firms working on an Ice America settlement that we're going to talk about shortly.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Any other questions for Cindy?
No.
I would make a motion to approve claims. Second by Vice President Burke. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is request to speak on agenda item. I have one. Amy, are there any other requests to speak?
No, that is all.
Did we steal your microphone?
Yeah, we're just short one, so we're sharing down.
All right. I've got one request to speak. This is John Ulmer. John, if you would, when you get a chance or when you come up here, if you would just please state your name, address. You'll have 3 minutes. Once you get to 2 minutes, I'll give you the thumbs up to let you know you've got one left.
Good morning. My name is John Ulmer. I live at 1880 South 950 East in Zionsville. I'm here representing the Eagle Creek Watershed Alliance as its chairman retired. And back in 2005, the Watershed Alliance began working to improve water quality in the Eagle Creek watershed, obviously. And we worked with a lot of the agricultural community at that time to reduce fertilizer loading and nutrient loading in the stream. And that went on and on. Today, really what I'm here to talk about is algae. Because today, with the development going on and using up all the farmland, we're converting that farmland that was well managed to developments, which just adds rooftops, sidewalks, streets, and really creates a lot of, it all goes into our stormwater system. So the nutrient loading into Eagle Creek has changed basically from the source being residential landscape contractors to whom lawn fertilizer is an income item, from farming where fertilization was an expense item. And I just wanted to really point that out, that those two business models are sort of different. And I was interested that we were having a stormwater presentation. And I think that it would be good if we could monitor and see what our nutrient loads are today, and similar to climate change, not just kick the can down the road to people that are younger than us to fix it. That's all I got. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Up next on the agenda is a mayor administration update. We did not receive anything from the mayor or the administration, so we'll move on to the council update. I just wanted to update the council and the public that our July 3rd town council meeting has been canceled. Obviously, we'll restate that at the end of the meeting, but just want to make sure everyone was aware of that. Any other council updates? Up next is old business. We have no old business items, so we'll move on to new business. Item 8A, which is a stormwater presentation. And we have Mr. Lance to walk us through that.
I'm only the facilitator this morning. I brought the brains of the organization with me, so. All right, we're live. Well, thank you this morning for this time on the agenda. With me this morning also, we have from our small but mighty stormwater division, we have the division supervisor, Michael Susan, senior stormwater inspector, Bobby Knox, and stormwater inspector, Steve Parker. So you were looking at sum total of the stormwater division. Just to kick things off on a high level overview, we're not here because we necessarily think that you'll find this as fascinating as we do. But we, under some new permit requirements, are required to get in front of elected officials at least once a year and do at least a light explanation or refreshing of our stormwater program as a permit. We are an MS4 community that is a municipal separate storm sewer system, meaning that we have a separate from sanitary system that collects the rainwater, conveys it through ditches, pipes, conveyances, and eventually ends up into Eagle Creek for the most part in our area. So as part of an MS4 community, we hold an NPDES permit. That is the same acronym that you might have heard with the sanitary sewer presentations. It is the same type of permit. We must take efforts to make sure that our stormwater runoff is as clean as possible. Now, unlike a sanitary sewer, we can't bring everything to one location and treat it and ship it back into the environment. So our permit is formed by 6 minimum control measures. And behind those minimum control measures are a litany of programmatic indicators. And of course, those are types of things that's like, if you do this, you can expect that result. So Michael and team will walk through those 6 MCMs as the basis of the presentation today and the highest level overview of our program, our permit program. And then we'll kind of dive into some other little stormwater division efforts. So with that, I will turn things over to Michael initially and let him kick off the meat and potatoes here.
Good morning. The first one we're going to talk about is MCM1, Public Education and Outreach. The goal of MCM1 is to communicate to residents, town staff, contractors, and visitors that Zionsville is an MS4. This The town's website has information about the stormwater division and our efforts. Look at our laser pointer up. So that's that. Blue is the new green is a 10-minute video that is presented to each new hire for the town to bring awareness on stormwater matters. Blue. And then the White River Alliance. Get my screen adjusted here just a little bit. Is an Indianapolis-based organization that helps with this effort. And Zionsville is one of several local communities that work together with this organization. MCM2 is public participation and involvement. The intent for this MCM is to provide opportunities for members of the community to get involved in the MS4 efforts and to take actions. Clear Choices is associated with, is ran by White River Alliance. People can take a pledge such as using less lawn fertilizer, preventing litter, and many more. The annual creek cleanup known as Creek Fest is a great opportunity for the community to come out and help clean the creek and to raise awareness. Reporter polluter is a good way to reach out to us if someone in the community were to see anything that is out of line or of a concern.
I warned Michael I was going to do this because
Yeah.
interrupting is what I do. But I'd like to call out something on this slide and the previous slide, and that is the White River Alliance, and sort of the child of the White River Alliance is Clear Choices Clean Water Indiana. Back around 2004, when the town of Zionsville had to initiate these steps as a clean water community, we were charged with educating the public. And back in the day, that was, send a postcard out once a week, or excuse me, once a year. But by partnering with the White River Alliance, we came together with Noblesville, Fishers, Carmel, Hamilton County. We said, hey, we all got to do the same thing, right? So if we pool our money under this umbrella organization, we could probably do some really cool stuff. So instead of sending out postcards or stapling up flyers to telephone poles, we've evolved this as far as creating television commercials. Now they don't run prime time on the big networks, but they're out there. But the neat thing that came out of that was this Clear Choices Clean Water, because we have to report to IDEM annually, how many people we think received our clean water message. And you can listen to demographics, if you run a spot on the radio that say, well, today 1,000 people probably heard your message. Well, this Clear Choices Clean Water is an interactive website that you can enter as much or as little information as you like. And you can see what your actual footprint is just on your parcel. You can say, I have a 1/4 acre. And there's a number of pledges. If I am going to replace X% of my yard with native plantings, or I'm going to eliminate phosphorus from my fertilizer, it will run some little quick numbers and tell you, by your actions, have reduced 500 pounds of blue-green algae based on your decisions on your property. So if you have a chance and you feel at all compelled after this presentation, just Google Clear Choices Clean Water Indiana and see what it does for you. It's really a neat website. And obviously, being a website, it's not just clicks that we can count, it's actual live pledges. So we can say, if you've clicked a pledge, we've probably reached you with some level of messaging. Sorry.
No, we're good. So I'll forge on and continue along in the slides to just keep things moving along here. MCM3 is illicit discharge detection and elimination. In practical terms, our goal for this MCM is to prevent illegal dumping into stormwater inlets and eliminating cross connections of wastewater pipes that are connected to stormwater pipes. The photos of an oil sheen, milky water being poured into a stormwater inlet, and then the milky discharge out of this culvert are web-based examples of what we want to prevent. The map to the right is the MS4 area, which is the area that is the town. The town is responsible for conducting these efforts, and it is an IDEM classification of MS4 area. which is the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. MCM 4, construction site stormwater runoff control. There is a considerable amount of staff time that is dedicated to this MCM. Stormwater permits are issued in advance of building permits. Our permit plan reviews focus on both drainage and erosion control for both residential and non-residential projects. And up next is Bobby Knox to speak on this topic.
Good morning. So with this MCM, myself and Steve Parker, we conduct routine inspections on any stormwater site that receives a permit, whether that be an individual lot or a larger construction site over 1 acre. We conduct these routine inspections through a web-based inspection program called PermitTrack. PermitTrack is pretty unique because it allows us to develop an inspection program that is tailored to each site, because no site is ever the same. There's different features for every single site. We conduct these routine inspections over the course of the year and over the life of the project. Sometimes we may do more depending on the stages. If it's mass earthwork, we'll be out there a little bit more, but once it starts to finish up and stabilize, we may back off those inspections. We also conduct inspections based on complaints. We respond to those the same day. These complaints can range from mud tracking, to dust control, to dirty water leaving the site. That's all I have for this slide. I'll turn it back over to Michael.
Thanks. So MCM 5, post-construction stormwater runoff control. The purpose of this MCM is to detain stormwater and to clean it. To achieve this requirement, best management practices, which are commonly referred to as BMPs, include items such as ponds, grass lines, swales, swirl chambers, and others. The picture on the left is a dry pond, which if you look right here, you can see it, these gravel paths, which help to bring the water into the outlet control structure. Both dry and wet ponds essentially function in the same manner. They slow down stormwater and allow it to flow out at a meter grade. There are maintenance responsibilities that owners need to be aware of and are required to do to ensure that these BMPs function properly. Also, the swirl chambers are essentially large water filters that are made in the size of a manhole structure and typically have a lid with the manufacturer's name on it. So these are the post-construction stormwater BMPs. And up next is Bobby Knox.
So here is MCM 6, Municipal Operation Pollution Prevention and Good Housekeeping. I would like to note these two photos are not of any town-owned facilities. So here at the Stormwater Department, we are required to inspect each town-owned facility 4 times a year. When we are doing the inspections, we inspect the municipal service building, the fire departments, police stations, all the parks. So when we are inspecting these, we are looking for any source of pollution out there. We are also checking to make sure all chemicals are being stored in secondary containment. We are looking to make sure there's no erosion, trash is being picked up. So if we find anything, we'll notify the proper town staff. Along with that, we also inspect our town-owned infrastructure. Here are 3 types of inlets that we see throughout town. This is a flat inlet. You typically see these in the roadway where it's depressed, where water can't get to the side to get off the road. These create an issue because a lot of the debris, whenever it rains, especially in the fall, these things will become blocked. The staff at the street department will conduct monthly cleanings of these. If we have a rain event greater than a half an inch, we will conduct cleaning automatically. Here is a curb inlet. You see these typically in a subdivision. These are nice because the curbs actually convey the water to these inlets. These things can also plug with leaves and other debris matter, but it has an overflow up here at the top. We'll come out there and clean these things off. This right here is a beehive inlet. These are typically in the rear yards of subdivisions. They take a defined swell that directs water to these. And we try to keep any type of foreign objects out of the swell. This includes fences, landscaping, trees, so these things do not block the flow of water. Next slide. Other stormwater efforts that we have here in town. We have a street sweeper here, and we typically collect about 145 tons of material removed from the roadway each year. We try to complete 2 full rounds of street sweepings on all curb roads. Along with that, we try to sweep the main roads in and out of town 4 times a year. Here are some of the projects that we have done in-house here. So this location is at 6th and Poplar. It's been a known flooding issue for years. We came in and installed the structure and a pipe and got that issue resolved. Here, I believe, was an old inlet with some old pipes. It was deteriorated enough that we had to come in and replace it. And then this is on the trail just behind our facility at the municipal service building. Due to existing conditions changing, we had water flowing over the pathway here, creating a mossy condition. So we installed a structure with the pipe and eliminated that issue.
Home stretch, I promise. So it's not all about regulations, right? We do our darndest to keep the town compliant with the stormwater permit, but I don't think I need to really go through all the benefits of fresh water. It's vital to life. And if there's 1 or 2 takeaways from today, it would be that your stormwater team is keeping this town compliant and doing everything they can to increase or improve the water quality in Eagle Creek. I love that picture to the right. We were seeing more and more kayaks, more and more people out engaging with waterways. But the biggest thing to take away, I hearken back to that Clear Choices Clean Water Indiana. Take a minute and realize that even on our little half-acre Shangri-Las, we can take actions ourselves at the local level to improve water quality. So we're always happy to answer questions now, in the future. When you wake up in the middle of the night tonight and you're like, what did he say about that? And you can call me then, that's fine. We're here for you.
Lance, I know it's not part of the presentation, but I haven't heard any concerns from residents in a while. Capacity, especially in the village, are you feeling better about that?
I really am. Now, the village is, of course, very challenging. All right.
Yeah.
When you look overhead and you see all the overhead wires, multiply that by about 3 or 4, and that's what's underground. So there's not always a lot of real estate to get pipes. And of course, being an entirely gravity system, you're at the mercy of topography. Over the last, probably since about 2018, we have invested well over $1 million in about 3 project locations. 4th Street, if you happen to look at like Zionsville, the village, in a cross section, 4th Street's kind of like the bottom of the V, right? Everything is kind of go to 4th Street and then south. There were 2 projects along 4th Street, which really took care of a lot of localized flooding when we're getting an inundating rain. Then we also had a major project over on 3rd Street. So those are some great successes that do make us and probably some residents sleep better at night. But I don't think we'll ever see, it's very impractical to get to the village to drain as though it were a start from scratch subdivision. So very hard to retrofit stormwater.
And then I don't know how to ask this question, but I guess I'll just ask it. Our new As I've experienced our new trash collector, and I know they're in the process of transitioning to standardized buckets, the auto picker, as I sort of walk the neighborhood afterwards, leaves a lot of trash, and that trash drains to, at least in Raintree, our little stream that drains to Eagle Creek that sort of addresses some of the things that was in the presentation. Is that going to get better, do you think, with the automated system in terms of it does impact water quality?
It's my expectation that it will.
Okay.
With properly closed lid containers right now. And for many years, it's just been a hodgepodge of any type can out there, hand tossed, all sorts of things encountered. But I do expect it to be better. When we notice failures for service, we do alert the haulers.
Okay. And last question, sorry for so many questions,
I
but
wasn't expecting this on stormwater. This is exciting.
you mentioned the street sweeping, which I love when that comes through the neighborhood, but it is more infrequent than I like just because I see the good results. Is there any thought in the 2024 budget of looking to perhaps up that program? I know it requires both machinery and personnel to do that, but is that anything you're thinking through? It's certainly something I'd be supportive of as it relates to not only the sort of the beautification of Zionsville, but also preventing things from going into the waterways.
What a great idea. Certainly we can. We'd love to be able to sweep the streets as frequently as possible. I think any additional effort would be moving into a contracting scenario.
Okay.
We certainly don't want to spend another, $350,000, $400,000 on a piece of equipment and hire someone because it's very intensive with labor and equipment. So to supplement our in-house, then we could institute a contracted, a blended approach and get some contracting. So I think maybe you look forward to seeing that in the budget request.
Sure. I look forward to seeing it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I just want to thank this crew. Maybe it's unheralded, but incredible work, and appreciate the presentation. It is very, very important, not only for Zionsville, but the surrounding community and all of our waterways. Kind of picking up where Josh may have been going in terms of dollars and cents. And, this body's always thinking about dollars and cents and budgeting coming up here sooner than later. Lance, is there anything as you're thinking 2, 3, 4 years down the road? And it could be something like equipment for road sweeping, but are there any specific needs that you see that we should be putting on our radar screen? And maybe the ARPA dollars, but is there something specifically that this team could use moving forward? And again, I know when you get to budgeting, you'll probably have all kinds of great ideas, but anything off the top of your head that we should be thinking about?
No, at this time, there is nothing alarming or things that give me pause. As I mentioned, we had a few stormwater projects in the village that really are performing well. So, in the village, we always have pockets of problems, and it's, you say you haven't heard of it because we've had a drier spring, right? A drier summer. So these things manifest and the complaints come in when we have a particularly wet season. But right now there is nothing significant I see coming down the pike as far as stormwater goes.
Well, if that changes, let us know. Here to help.
You'll be one of the first 7 to know.
Great work.
I had one question about to kind of play off of Mr. Ulmer's question about the Eagle Creek watershed. Does Zionsville calculate or audit the nutrient loads that are going into Eagle Creek? Is that is that something we would do or something we're interested in doing? Or
Well, that information is available right now online. We co-fund a super gauge site there just off the bridge on Main Street / Zionsville Road. That super gauge has been collecting data for a number of years, and it archives it and can be checked by anyone. I don't have the website off the top of my head, but if you Google super gauge Zionsville, you'll probably be likely to be taken to that site. It's through the partnership with the USDS. But that, that's a single point, right? It's kind of nice, and it is relatively far downstream. Water has made its way mostly across our landscape by the time, we're at that trunk or that stretch of Eagle Creek. But that's always one data point. And although it is a really, really cool gauge, and there's not a lot of them that exist, and USDS and DEM, everybody loves them because there's a litany of data. It's only one single point, right? To measure impact across the stream reach, you got to have two, but the further upstream you go, the more tributaries you encounter. And so it's very hard to, identify upstream where exactly. I did not do that. But I mean, I did do that simply by conjuring of the will. So there, Joe has pulled up the USGS Supergauge site, and they've retooled their site lately. So you probably have to scroll down, but you can see all of the other parameters that it measures. And then if it's something from long ago, you can actually submit a query through the website and go back in history as long as they've captured the data.
Great. Yeah, that's great to see that. I've seen them actually pull that tube out of the water and collect the data at one point. So that was kind of neat. With the classification area of the MS4 area, the IDEM area, I think on back to the presentation, there was a map, and it looks like my neighborhood is a part of that out in the rural district. And I know we have an ongoing issue out there where we have 11 ponds, and we're just trying to control that algae growth so many different ways. We've attempted to use stone edging to try and, keep the erosion from allowing more nutrients to go into the water. And then we've also used tilapia as a process to kind of keep down on the algae, as installing those every year, which I think, they die off, and I think they create a little bit of a load themselves once they pass away. But is there any new technology, new thought process as we move forward with developments in Zionsville regarding pond edges, pond drainage? Obviously, using less chemical to treat your lawn is one option, but as we know, we can't really control what homeowners do in general, but we can control what we do moving forward with the new ponds and their edge requirements or things of that nature. Is there any new thought process to that?
Oh, absolutely. The general direction of stormwater management is stop trying to force it to do what you think it should, and take a look at nature and just copy what nature's been doing just fine for thousands of years. So changes in pond design, absolutely. In the age of your neighborhood, those were purely flood control. They are just holes in the ground to let the water sit so it doesn't flood out people downstream. Since then, there have been a current pond, or a modern pond, has plantings. It has two shelves. It has a safety ledge and a safety ledge, right? All these ponds are very attractive nuisances. Kids want to jump in them, fish in them, look at them. They look intriguing. So new ponds, instead of just kind of sloping down, then they hit the water and keep on going down, there's now a safety ledge above the water, and then there's a safety ledge slightly below the water. And where that ledge also offers the opportunity is for native plantings, the bulrushes, those types of plant. Now everything has its own downfall, right? You have biomass, you have die-off in the fall, much like the fish you mentioned. If you have aquatic plants, everything in Indiana is going to go dormant, right? And then you've got some plant material in the fall. But there is no better water filtration than native plantings. And so that's the change in the pond configurations. And if I'm leaving something out important, I assume one of you will tap me on the back and say, get out of my way. But the very best thing you can do, typically in a subdivision, your pond is maintained by someone else, but it's also in a common area. So make sure, as you're, wanting your common areas to look nice, make sure you talk to your service providers, and just start with the no phosphorus fertilizers, because that's probably the biggest contributor to the algae blooms that we get in the fall and the stagnant water conditions. So make sure that they're using environmentally friendly practices.
That's great info. Thank you.
Thanks, Lance. Mike, Bobby, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Get out of here, right? Sit down. Thank you for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
All right. Before we move on, I do want to make a quick note. We've had two motions that were made and approved by this council, and I mistakenly said they were approved at 5 in favor, 0 opposed. We have 6 councilors, so just so that we're on record, 6 in favor, 0 opposed on both the memorandum of the June 5th town council meeting and the approval of the June 2023 claims were both approved, 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Up next is a presentation of a request from the Zionsville Cultural District regarding the summer concert series, and we have Candace Ulmer to present. Good morning, Candace.
Candace Ulmer, 1880 South, 950 East in Zionsville. I am the treasurer for the Zionsville Cultural District and the chair of our concert series. Back in April of 22, I came before you and asked for a $100 fee waiver because we have a Kona ice truck come, and I think it was a food fee, something like that. And you graciously waived that for us back then. And I think you might have the previous minutes of that meeting, if you go back to like pages 24 to 26, the discussion came up of having the concert series be a town-sponsored event. And I think it was discussed, but I don't think any action was taken from what I could read of the minutes there. So I think to clean up or do some housekeeping, I might need to come back for 2023 and ask for a waiver of that $100 event fee on the food or beverage. That was one thing. And then I wanted to talk to you about being a town-sponsored event, because I guess I don't know the process. I think I was told in the minutes to come back, but I didn't know when. So I'm coming back probably later than never. If you do that yearly, for the Zionsville Cultural District, I was looking or hoping maybe you might consider a clause on it, because we are a little different than a lot of the nonprofits that are around here and make use of the town's community enrichment grant. We are a 501c3. We are a volunteer board. We have no brick and mortar. We have no costs for employees or anything like that. I was going to print out for our budget to show you where we spend the money between the general fund and the programs, and it was a little skewed in 2021 and 22 because we had a gracious developer contribute $10,000 to us to start an endowment at the Community Foundation for the future of the arts and culture for Zionsville, and it's under the cultural district name. So that money came in and went out, and it kind of makes the pie look a little funny. But basically, we're like 98 program is where our funding goes to, and 98% programs, 2% is the general fund. And out of that general fund is just bare necessities, envelope stamps, things like that. That fund is funded by, I guess, our board members, even though they're volunteer, they're a bit of pay to play. They pay $120 a year. That's it. Our mission, and it always has been, is to promote the arts, culture, and the history of Zionsville to its residents and visitors. That's our top. We do not have any other memberships or anything else. That was almost so that's why I'm asking to be a town-sponsored event with maybe a what do you call it, daylight clause or something like that, to be renewed every 5 years or something, for a consideration of you. The next thing I would like for you to consider is a line item in the food and beverage fund for the concert series. I just did a quick budget last night of looking things. We pay usually $700 for a band for our concerts. And we are so limited on that because the areas around us, whether it be Carmel, Whitestown, are more of a town sponsored event, not just event, but they're in the town's budget, whereas we are not. So I worked up and I was looking at if we could get on the 2024 town council budget or the budget in the food and beverage for 20,000, that would help us immensely have some security come January when we're looking at bands for the 2024 concert series, but also help us promote and perpetuate the free concert series. We don't charge the residents or anything. The only, it's just a win-win for us, and it's part of our vision and mission. And that helps us give other concentration to the public art we've put up. You've seen the Lincoln Memorial. Hopefully most of you have seen the side of the Bender building with the older pictures on it, and the electrical boxes. I can't say where, but we will have another building coming up pretty soon where we're doing art on the side of it. So that is our mantra, and that is where we put all our focus on. Two of the board members, we've been on here for 12 years. Many of the other ones, our lowest membership is 3 years. And like I said, it's all a volunteer board, and our passion is not to raise money for the Zionsville Cultural District as much as funding our programs that we try to do. So I guess my ask today is, I think I need to have this fee waived for 2023.
Yeah, Candace, I think I think in the upcoming meetings, we're going to have a couple of things. We've got a solicitor resolution or ordinance coming through that's going to affect our fee schedule. There's a request from the fire department too. So it might be, I did look at those notes, and it was something that it looks like we requested you to come back and do this again. But I don't think, I mean, if it's something that this council has been supportive of in the past, I don't know why we continue to make the cultural district come back and do this every year.
Yeah.
So maybe the answer is, and Adam, I don't know if this is a question for you, but when we, excuse me, when we modify the fee schedule, can we both add this as a town sponsored event and waive whatever fee specific to the cultural district, if that's a decision we decide to move forward with?
That would be fine. That would be fine.
It'd be better to put it in the ordinance and in the writing, so that way everybody in the future knows.
Yeah.
She doesn't have to show minutes of meetings.
Yeah.
For permit.
Candace, when is the event that you need the fee waived for, just to make sure we?
That's August.
Oh, it's not till August. Okay, so we'll have time
It's
to
the
do it.
Lincoln Park Concert Series. We don't have to worry about that down in Lions Park. It's in August.
Okay.
Yeah. And just so the other thing, so you know, on our budgeting, we do a 990 in. That is a postcard that we file every year because our revenues are under 50,000. So there's no 990 that people can look up and see, with the IRS, what our monies are. We do a 990 in. And to me, I want to keep it that way because I think to us that keeps in the forefront of us our programs, and that's where our money's going that we raise. So.
Perfect. Any questions or anything from counselors?
No, I just appreciate the hard work of you and your board. It's an incredible series. And again, it's a huge asset to the town, and you guys are burdening this. There aren't fees. And I was curious, I was going to ask, but you already kind of disclosed it's $20,000 essentially to put together. I thought it was actually probably more than that to put together the series. Go ahead.
It is, but I base that on bands at $1,000 at minimum. Some go more, but we are good stewards of our money. But I mean, I base that on $1,000 and part of our sound man for 3 months at 5 weeks a month, what sometimes you can have during that summertime and stuff. Yeah.
This is probably just because of the work that I do, but I am curious since you don't charge for the concerts at all, is your $50,000 that you raise, is that all just private donations, or do you secure grant?
It is private donations when I really have to go out to the donor database. Otherwise, we are trying to seek sponsorships. We seek sponsorships from the business community, which has been hard after COVID and coming out of COVID. Those have changed immensely. That's why to have some comfort zone for the concerts, regardless of what the economy might be going on business wise around us. I was asking to be in the food and beverage budget. Yeah.
The $100 waivers, that's not complicated at all. I think the bigger challenge is how can we get you some funds moving forward, maybe from the general fund to help pay for this. I'd be open to having that conversation. So let's talk about that as we plan for 2024 budgets.
Okay. Thank you so very much.
Up next on the agenda is a consideration of a resolution regarding the appropriation of additional funds. This is resolution 2023-12. This is the DPW community crossings. We have Cindy and Lance both here. If anybody has questions, I will say for this council, we've made comments in the past about how we wouldn't vote on additional appropriations if we didn't have a reconciled balance or account. These dollars are coming from a grant fund that, after working with Cindy, would have been at zero at the beginning of this year, and then the request from Lance now, which was just from the government. So it is a reconciled account. It's an appropriation that was advertised at the last meeting. You recall we had multiple advertised appropriations and didn't take action on those. So Lance, Cindy, if I missed something, or if there's anything you guys want to come up, or counselors, if you have any questions on that. Yeah, I mean, otherwise I would make a motion to approve resolution 2023-12.
Second.
Second by Councilor Choi. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. Last new business item, counselors, you'll notice this is the Seaside settlement lawsuit. I have asked that the mutual release and settlement agreement be included in our council packets. As we've had in the past, this is similar to other situations where we've come to this council to give council leadership the ability to sign and enter into a contract on behalf of the town council, just like we did with the emergency declaration for trash a few months ago. This is no different. You'll notice in the release, it requires signatures by Seaside, Zionsville Town Council, the mayor, the Parks Department, and the Parks Board. So any questions?
Yeah.
I will say this has been reviewed, as some of you have noticed, even on the claims recently. This has been reviewed by our legal representation outside of our retainer. It's been reviewed by the mayor's legal team and obviously Seaside as well.
So I'm gonna go on a little riff here. Why I don't think this should be signed yet. I don't know, 6 months, 8 months. President Plunkett, you and this council have been asking for financial controls audit of the town because of financial errors. The mayor has not been receptive to that. This lawsuit is a result partially of financial control errors. It's not an indictment of the financial team. I believe in Cindy and I believe in the folks there, but we've been trying to get to the root of bad processes that exist, that we may not know even exist, that cause issues like this. And I don't know why the mayor will not sign up, our preferred vendor or any vendor to go through and look at this stuff. We're basically told everything is fine, everything is under control. I don't feel this council should sign off on this lawsuit until that is signed off by the mayor. And it's unfortunate that it always seems to have to come to this, but if she would like to resolve this lawsuit, I would like to know that the financial systems and processes that underlie all of this are solid so that we aren't doing this again in 4 months and cleaning up another mess. So I personally will not vote for this until she does that. I think it's a pretty reasonable request. We have the money. I think for every dollar we spend on finding financial process errors, we'll save tenfold in avoiding future mistakes. And I feel this may be the only way we will get her to listen to us. So I am firmly opposed to signing off on this now. We spent $20,000 in legal fees to get to this point. I don't know why we won't spend $30,000 in audit fees to get there either. So that is my feeling on this.
Yeah, I think it's part of including this in the packet, I think, for public transparency. Everybody, that seems to be a nice buzzword. So in full transparency, we were billed $59,211.75 in October and paid that. And then the settlement is now an additional $45,000 plus, as we've talked about, $3,430 4 or 5 times throughout the course of this year. So we're up in excess of, $60,000 on a $59,000 claim that was already paid once. Now, this is being paid by the insurance company, at least to $45,000, which is part of the reason why we see our insurance premiums going up. So.
So Jason, to be clear, the $45,000 that would be paid in this agreement, that's essentially just agreeing to use the insurance dollars to pay the claim for Seaside.
That's correct.
So it's not exactly town dollars. We've already paid the town dollars and essentially the legal fees and potentially more to come, right?
Yeah, I mean, the only hesitation with declining this, I mean, as Josh mentioned, I mean, I've requested that the mayor would work with us on anything finance related for about the last 6 months, and that's been continued to be shot down. My only concern with not moving forward with this now is how much longer are we going to continue to pay Ice Miller, Barnes and Thornburg, Nooning and Witsit, everybody to come in and continue to try to move this along. And it's only as good as the settlement. I mean, it's only as good as the negotiated settlement. So this was negotiated by, those parties. And if we don't sign it, it's possible that gets pulled, and then we're in a spot where the insurance company may not pay it. We have to pay it individually.
I think there's some risks not paying it, knowing that this is really not town dollars. This is insurance paying for this. We're moving it through as a pass through. And if we don't, we face continued potential legal fees for this. I agree. It would have been nice just to get this handled up front. We didn't. It's cost us a heck of a lot of time and money to get to this point. But as a secondary question, I know Cindy presented last meeting, and I got the impression, and Cindy, I put you on the spot, but in terms of doing an audit, did I not hear you say that you, in particular, I don't know about the administration or the bosses above you, but you were open to some sort of audit of all best practices. But you just had asked that maybe we wait a couple months, maybe until August before we do that audit. So you're not opposed to it. You just thought that there were just a lot of cleanup that you wanted to have happen before we got into that kind of audit. Is that correct?
That is correct. We know right now there are some gaps because we just changed financial systems. So my ask was that we at least have a little bit of time. I've already started the process of updating our internal controls to marry up to the new financial system. And then once we get those done, I'm more than happy to have an audit of that.
I have no indication that when Cindy is ready, that the mayor will suddenly change her mind. I mean, I'm not trying to force an audit at a specific time. I certainly will wait when Cindy is ready. I trust her, but that needs to be done. I've had no indication that that will be done. So,
yeah, no, I agree with you. Cindy, do you believe, is it your understanding that if you agree that we should do an audit, that the mayor would be supportive of that?
I mean, I would, we've talked about it. I would probably rather talk to her again just to make sure, but from my understanding, they're open to the audit, but I would definitely want to circle back to them.
Yeah, I think that's important. Thank you.
Mhm.
Any other questions or anything from counselors? So I don't know, Adam, do we have to take a vote here?
I don't think so, but if you want to take a vote.
Counselor Plunkett, are we the first ones to sign this document?
I don't know. I don't know if anybody else signed it. I don't know if the Parks Board had a meeting to discuss it the night before.
Shouldn't we be the last ones?
Morning, counselors. Jared Logsdon, Superintendent of Parks. Both the Park Board and Parks Department have signed this document at the last meeting.
So the Parks Board and the Parks Department have signed off on this. Do we know if the mayor signed off on it yet?
I don't have that information.
Okay, well, I'm comfortable holding off until the mayor signs off on it.
We need to continue it then?
If
There's no vote. I don't understand why there's no vote.
you don't know, we can continue it. We'll just continue
I
it to
think-
the,
I know, but I don't understand, like, I get if we're going to continue it, but I don't understand why we wouldn't be voting on something that we are signing. Or is it just
well, that-
your duties as the
yeah,
president?
it's
to
just,
sign it?
you guys giving me the authority to do it as council president. That's all this is. And the reality
When
is,
you
I
say this is, meaning we're voting to give you the authority, or you have the authority now?
I don't know. I don't know if I have the authority now or not.
So this has already been gone through insurance. Now this is just the money to pay the claim.
I understand, but we are signing as President Plunkett is signing as the town council. Does he sign based on behalf of a vote that we authorize his signature, or is he, as president, already authorized to sign because he is signing as if he's signing as the president versus signing as the town council, those are two different things.
Right. I would imagine he already has general authority to sign all agreements on behalf of the town council as the town council president. It's probably in your resolutions or
Okay.
a previous vote.
So this seems like it's just really more for information then, because we don't need to take action to give him authority to sign. He can sign when he feels like he's ready to sign.
Right. If you want to approve the agreement and wait on the mayor's signature before he signs, he can do that to not wait till the next meeting. Or if you would rather.
I'd rather continue it if you're not going to wait to sign it until I think we have a better answer. That answer sounds kind of gray area to me, Adam,
Okay.
if you don't mind.
Is the money coming directly from the insurance company, or is the insurance money coming to the town and then we repay it out? Have we received the insurance money to pay? Is that how this is working? I guess I don't understand.
So this agreement says Zionsville shall pay Seaside $45,000, the settlement payment. My understanding is that's going to come from the insurance company and then we will write the check.
So we haven't received the money
You've got the same
paperwork. Yeah.
settlement agreement that I have.
All right,
So,
well, let me do this. You're going to wait to sign it.
Yeah.
Just to make this, to go above and beyond, may not need to. I would like to make a motion to continue this to the next meeting, which gives you the time, I think, President Plunkett, to wait to sign it if that's what you intend to do. Is that fair?
yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion to continue the next meeting.
Second.
Second by Counselor Culp, first by Counselor Garrett, second by Counselor Culp. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion passes 5 in favor, 1 opposed. Let's see, up next is other matters. Is there anything from counselors? Okay, then lastly, I would make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Counselor Garrett. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion passes 6 in favor, 0 opposed. The next regular town council meeting is scheduled for Monday, July 17th, 2023 at 7:30 a.m. in the Zionsville Town Hall Council Chambers. Final notice will be posted in compliance with the Indiana Open Door Law. Thank you.